Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the GD Report. I am D.
And I'm G.
We got another big show. I think we said last time, we've been saying it for a while, but on the last episode, I'm pretty sure we said, who knows what will happen between now and then. And it just as long as Donald Trump is involved with politics, I think that's going to hold true because obviously the biggest news of the day is the fact that yesterday Donald Trump became the first president in history to ever be impeached twice. He's
Yeah.
only the third president impeached at all, but he's the first one to be impeached twice. So, G-Man, why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah. Well, the House voted, actually, 10 Republicans voted with the House Democrats to impeach. And, the articles of impeachment specifically cited inciting a riot as the reason for his impeachment. And of course, Trump has denied his remarks were incendiary at all. He's basically said it was a perfect speech, just like he said it was a perfect phone call with the Ukraine leaders. He just refuses to take any responsibility for anything. And then now he has actually come out with a video or a statement that basically says he deplores violence, which everybody knows is not true. Even on the campaign trail, he implored people to beat the crap out of protesters and he would pay their legal bills. So, it's just hard to believe anything this guy says. And he's just trouble at every turn.
Yeah, the New York Times is reporting that he is, and which I got to say before I go on, I'm 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 going to give some props to the New York Times for their reporting to this whole campaign. I think they've done a fantastic job and been breaking a ton of news. Maggie Haberman probably is going to have PTSD from reporting on Trump so much,
Right.
but
Probably have a Pulitzer to go with that at some point.
that's true too. That's true too. But I mean, they're even like the Georgia election. I was following New York Times breaking news, and their polling and everything was top notch. But they've got reports tonight that the reason we've seen two if not three, I'm not sure the exact number of videos from Trump basically saying, uh, I don't want anybody to commit violence. It's not our movement's not violent. And, anybody who does violence is not a supporter of mine. Is he's trying to, after the fact, cover his own ass for uh, for charges for criminal charges against us for as far as incitement of riot, because people forget that even though they're not a state, that Washington D.C. has their own attorney general
Right.
that's in charge of the district, and they can bring charges. And that gentleman has said that he is investigating uh, lots of people for incitement of a riot and incitement of insurrection. So I would think Mr. Giuliani, Mr. Trump Jr., Mr. Brooks from Alabama, Mr. Hawthorne from North Carolina, Lynn Wood, several of the other speakers probably need to start lawyering up. And by lawyering up, I don't mean Rudy Giuliani.
Right. Yeah. A reputable attorney.
Which by the way, also understand from reports today that Rudy Giuliani is feeling is getting to know his boss a little bit better, like a lot of people have known him over the last 30 or 40 years, from a standpoint that Trump has instructed his staff not to pay Giuliani's legal fees. That
Right.
he was charging $20,000 a day to the Trump campaign,
Right.
and now he's going to stiff Giuliani on his payment.
Yeah, I also saw that he's not going to approve any of his expenses either. So those plane rides to Arizona and Pennsylvania or wherever he's been, gallivanting around, they're not going to get paid for either. So,
Yeah.
uh, but hey, that's how Trump works. He brings you on, gets you to do a little bit of work for him, and then basically says, yeah, I'm not paying for that. And
Yeah, it's like basically, hey, you didn't get the election overturned, and I got impeached, so I don't like the results, so I'm not going to pay for it.
yep, yeah,
Try that the next time you go to the doctor or the CPA or something. Hey, I
right,
don't like the results, so just not going to pay for it.
yep, absolutely.
And so back to the articles of impeachment, it is striking, and it doesn't sound like much, but it's striking that this is 10 votes is the most votes ever in the history of impeachment for the party of the president being impeached to vote for impeachment. So that's the most votes it's ever garnered. And I think in the last article of impeachment for the Ukrainian bribe didn't get any Republican votes.
I thought it had one. I thought they had one person.
I don't think maybe you're right, but I don't think they did, because I think that was their big thing, to try to say, oh, this is not bipartisan. It always cracks me up when they get one vote from the other side. Both sides do that one. I don't like both sidesism, but I have our Democrats and Republicans, when they get one vote, they go, it's bipartisan.
Right.
But 10 votes is substantial. It's also substantial that one of the votes was the third ranking House member, Cheney. I'm drawing a blank on her name. Liz. I wanted to say Lynn, which is her mom, but that shows the fissure in the party right now, of the Republican Party, from a standpoint that she's connected, obviously, through her dad to the traditional wing of the party.
Right.
She's in a state that Trump won by like 34 points.
Yep.
Yet her statement on the article of impeachment was probably the strongest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was pretty adamant from the very start that what he did was despicable. But let me ask you this, Dee. What good is this going to do? Because I'm already seeing reports that once he leaves office, that even if they vote to remove, that's not going to be binding, that it has to be done while he's in office. And Mitch McConnell said they're not going to do anything until after Biden gets inaugurated. So,
well, I would caution you of reading reports from Newsmax,
right.
because there is precedent that it is actually binding. They've impeached several judges that they started impeachment proceedings while, and the difference is this: he's been impeached already while he's in office.
Right.
So he's been impeached. The trial's just going to take place after he's out of office, because here's what good it'll do. It is binding because, like I said, there's precedent where they've impeached, I think, 2 or 3 judges in the past, where they impeached the judge, then the judge resigned, thinking, I can just make this go away. Then they went ahead and had the trial after the fact.
And
after they'd already,
that precludes them from being a judge again.
right, precludes them from being a judge or holding any federal office, I believe.
Or, well, yeah, I think you're right. And
so that's what'll happen, and it may go to the Supreme Court. It may, because obviously it's never been done before, but I think there's some pretty good, strong precedent on it. Maybe Trump's appointments to the Supreme Court will pay off for him after all.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, if it succeeds and they remove him, which they need 2/3 of the Senate vote, and I'm going to come back to that in a second, because it's not necessarily 67 votes, but it accomplishes several things. First of all, like you already alluded to, then if they convict him, then they take a separate vote after that, and if they convict by the 2/3 of the Senate, then it can be a simple majority vote on whether or not he can run for office again. So
gotcha.
that's huge. So at that point, you only have to have 51 votes.
And the Democrats have that.
Democrats,
Or they will
easily have that.
Well, yeah.
The other thing
right
it does,
now they've got 5 Republicans that are voting with them.
Yeah.
Already said they'll support. So.
And so it also takes away his lifetime pension of $200,000 a year, and takes away security as well.
Well, now his $200,000 a year. He's so wealthy. That's just a drop. That's like $20 to me and you. So he won't miss that, right?
I think he's going to be needing all the money he can get, because I understand Deutsche Bank cut ties with him this week as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, they're not going to fund any more of his project, and that was the main source of his funding. Well, that and the Russians.
Well, yeah, what they do is they keep financing his debt, and so they roll it up, and it's just like when you go to the car dealership and they say, hey, if you're upside down in your car, we'll take care of that loan, and basically they just roll it into your new loan.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the before we move on too much, I want to go back to the 2/3 majority, because Lawrence Tribe, who's pretty trusted on the constitutionality of impeachment, and he studied it, Harvard law professor, and what he said is it is 2/3 of the senators who are present.
So even if a bunch of the Republicans didn't show up,
So you could have,
As
they
long as
could
you have a
talk amongst,
quorum.
they could talk amongst themselves. And if 20 Republican senators don't show up, then we're down to like, at that point, it's 80 votes total, and then 51 would be 2/3 of that.
Oh, gotcha. And you could see some of those staunch Trump supporters in the Senate just saying, "To heck with this! I'm not going to show up." You know.
Yeah, or if say you've got say you've got somebody, I'm trying to think of, it's hard to think of Republicans with conscience, but say
Mitt
you've got
Romney.
a maybe a what who?
Mitt Romney.
Well, Mitt Romney will show up and vote,
Right.
but say you got I'll pull somebody that he doesn't really have a conscience, but say you got a Marco Rubio, okay?
Right.
And say Rubio's sitting here going, I want to run again in 2024. I don't want to piss off the Trump crowd. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to not go when they vote, and I'm going to say I'm protesting it.
Right. You know, that brings up an interesting question. The Republicans really don't have anybody that they could say is a, is a front runner for 2024. I mean, everybody's tainted to some degree.
Well, Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz sure thought they were making the play for it.
Yeah, I think that ship sailed. I mean, we'll see. You know, the rule or the joke is that the American electorate has a short memory, but I think they're going to remember this for a long time. If there's bloodshed on the 20th or the 19th, it's going to make it even worse. The main media outlets in their home states have already called for them to resign. There's talk of them being censured in the Senate, if not expelled.
Yeah.
I think those guys got a world of hurt coming, facing them after Biden takes over. They could be arrested themselves for helping to incite the riot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think it definitely opens the door for, if Mitt Romney wanted to try to run again. But here's the conundrum they have. They've almost given their party away to the Trumpists.
yeah,
And so who are the Trumpists going to vote for? So if they say Donald Trump, say he gets convicted and he can't, and they pass it where he can't run again, I mean, who's going to satisfy that crowd? Ivanka, Don Jr.? Because it's not going to be Larry Hogan, it's not going to be Mitt Romney, it's not going to be Marco Rubio. To a degree, as this thing goes on, Trump is, as we talked about with Giuliani, he's going to throw Hawley under the bus. He's going to throw Cruz under the bus. Anybody he can, he'll throw them under.
yeah. What about Lindsey Graham? How old is he?
I don't know. He said he was done with the president during the debate, that the election was over. He was done with the president, and then he flew with him to Texas, and now he says the most divisive thing is the impeachment.
Right. Yeah. So he might be thinking 2024 is his year.
What do you think about one of the criticisms the Republicans had was that there was no time for debate. There was no like lengthy time for debate or evidence or anything like that. That's one of their big criticisms of the impeachment.
Well, it's played out on the front page of every newspaper and the lead story of every newscast for the last week. I mean, how much debate do you need?
Yeah, and
Everybody's seen the party. Everybody's seen his speech about march to the Capitol and can't show weakness. I mean, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I find it rich too that considering in the Senate trial for the last impeachment, they wouldn't allow witnesses.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And also the fact that they passed voted on a Supreme Court justice 8 days before an election.
Yeah.
So
without betting.
Yeah, so they don't have a theoretical or literal leg to stand on when it comes to this.
Yeah.
So we're looking at impeachment starting. They're talking about doing it probably the 21st is when it will start. And they said that they're looking at a split legislative agenda where the Senate meets in the morning to confirm nominees for Biden, and then has a trial in the afternoon. I don't think it's going to take a lengthy trial in my mind either.
Well, it depends on how Mitch McConnell lets it play out.
Well,
What do you think?
remember after the 20th, he's not going to be able to determine how he lets it play out.
I don't think that's exactly the case, because until Warnock and Ossoff get sworn in, the Republicans still control the majority. And the last
Well,
I heard, it was going to take about a week after the inauguration for them to actually get certified and sworn in.
well, again, if that's the case, then it's not going to be a week after the inauguration. I heard that 22nd's the latest is what I heard. But anywho, McConnell's not going to control it forever.
That's true. Yeah, he won't.
He's given indications that he's open to voting for convicting, but
Yeah.
I think he's just doing a rope a dope.
I don't know. He was pretty ticked off, I think, at his members for what they did the night of and how they contributed to what was going on. And so I think he might just out of spite vote to convict. We'll see, though.
Hey, hang on just a second. Somebody yelling into my hallway.
I heard that. You need to go check it out?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
What the heck's going on?
So a little bit of drama there at where Chris is at. He's at his wife's office, and there was some yelling down the hall. He's going to check it out. So hopefully he'll be back in just a minute. It was, and it's nothing major. But in the meantime, if you guys want to leave us a message or email us, you know that you can just leave a comment in the comment section here, or you can email us at gdreportgunner@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, any thoughts you want to weigh in on. If you have an idea of somebody who might be a good guest for us, please send us that. We're always looking for new guests. You know, we don't want to have the same people on over and over again, and you know, that'd be really helpful and show that, you know, you're watching us and you like us. And, you know, be sure and hit that subscribe button up at the top so that whenever a new podcast drops, you'll be the first to know. And you know, we'll keep you informed about what's going on. As Chris was saying, as Dee was saying, we you know, we may not need 66 senators to vote for this impeachment, the removal, which will be interesting to see how that plays out next week. Of course, if there is, as we suspect, if there is widespread bloodshed, there's 40,000 rumored insurrectionists already in and around the DC area. There's 20,000 National Guard troops on the ground there. So about a 2-to-1 ratio as far as the military is concerned, which I like those odds. I like our military. I think they could probably handle 3-to-1 odds. I'm not sure how many of the 40,000 are going to be armed with weapons, and certainly not the kind of weapons that our military carries. But if there is widespread bloodshed, I think that throws things into a conundrum for next week. I think senators will move to stop the impeachment proceedings, at least for the foreseeable future. It could be a very, very dark couple of days for our nation, the 19th and the 20th. So we'll keep our ear to the ground and monitor all that, keep you up to date on what's going on. So we'll give we'll give Dee a couple more minutes here and see if he comes back. And if he doesn't, we'll wrap it up and catch you on the next one. So Yeah, I don't know. One other thing I wanted to bring up is I don't know if you've seen, but they've already arrested hundreds of insurrectionists from the Capitol riot, including 3 Capitol Hill police officers that were either taking selfies with, fist bumping with, or actually holding doors open so that the mob could get into the building. They arrested a couple of peace officers that supposedly were there on their off time. I mean, this just goes to show that no matter what you do in your life, everything has a consequence. And these citizens decided that believing unsubstantiated rumors that the election was stolen, believing Trump when lie after lie has been proven, that was more important than their livelihoods or their freedom, because a lot of these people are looking at lengthy prison stays. So they arrested a guy today who threw a fire extinguisher at 5 Capitol police officers. And, that's attempted murder if they wanted to be. And so that guy's looking at least 5 years in prison, maybe even more. Just depends on how aggressive the prosecution wants to be. And these are charges that will be brought in the District of Columbia. And it's a pretty liberal place, but once their prosecutors get ticked off, which you would assume they pretty much are now, then all bets are off, and these guys could be looking at 20 years to life, depending on how the statute's written. Anyway, we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. So stay safe. Be sure to wear your mask. The CDC is predicting 90,000 deaths in the next 3 weeks due to COVID. So this thing is just really out of control. If you have a chance to get the vaccine, please go get in line and get it. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good night. How was that?
Okay.
You think they're boring? Cam said they're boring.
Oh, no, I haven't watched that many on my end anywhere.
House are sacked out. So Kurt had a good point. So if we sold our house for, let's say we sold our house and got $250 out of it, which I think we'd probably get close to that. We could move down here, buy a house. We could put 200 down, have 50 in the bank. This house, you know how much they pay for this house? $310. So we could buy a house. Let's say we bought this house, right? It's $110,000 mortgage. That's nothing. We could pay that off in 10 years. I'm pretty sure I could transfer with Costco. Say that, and you never do.
I looked at Florida and we thought we'll wait until the year and then we talked about it again after the new year.
Yeah, we do that a lot. We need to stop doing that. We need to follow through. Just like we said, well, let's look at dates for camping, and we never did that either.
Yep, I don't know. Pull the calendar up there.
I gotta wait for this one to move back. I can do it. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Must be fairly serious because Chris went down the hall. I could hear him yelling.
I mean, the one of your home tonight, huh?
Well, he goes to his wife's office.
Oh, did you do okay?
Yeah. He occasionally has to do it at home, but he likes spending time with her at the office. And she works really long ass hours.
I'm warm right now. Keep it hot. $2 a week, the things that are paying for 72.
Yeah, they keep those fans on.
I was just thinking about turning this one on.
I'll put my jacket back on.
I'm gonna leave it off for now, but I want it on tonight when we go to bed.
My phone's so on there. Oh, holy cow. And they call 911.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Okay.